Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Landsite's Quickfire 101 session. I'm Ramsey Assal. I'm the CEO and founder of the Landsite, and I'm joined today by Siadatan, who is the CEO and founder of Connect UK Auctions. So welcome, Zad.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good. A little bit about yourself for people listening, and your business.
Sure. My name is Siadatan, as you've just said. I've been in the property business ever since I was 16 years old, and that will be around 40 odd years. I won't give my age away, but it's around 40 odd years. I've been in the auction game. Obviously, when I say property, as a developer, as a estate agent, as a lettings and property management, and as an auctioneer. So I've been involved in all type of the business within the industry. Auctions, it would be, I've been involved in the auction side of business for about almost 9 years now. And obviously there, it's very exciting. We can see the ups and downs, just like the estate agents, just like the rental side of things. But it has its ups and downs. But yeah, so I've been around for donkey's years, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, you've got some great experience there, Zad, and by the sounds of things, and from the relationship that we have working together on the Landsite, you look as though you're doing very well. So,
thank you.
It's a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you.
So, Zad, what is the property cycle, and where are we in that property cycle at the moment? What's your feelings on that?
Sure. I mean, a property cycle, as I understand it, as we know it, is a cycle of 18 years. Now, going back and having been in the business for, as I mentioned earlier on, for so long, I have done a lot of research and a lot of studies to see, everything in life has a cycle. The seasons have a cycle. You name it, there's a cycle. Even a business has a cycle. So the property game is no different. It has a cycle. The cycle is 18 years altogether. Now it's what we call the boom and the bust. When there's a boom, everyone's happy, everyone's buying. You really don't have to know anything about property, and you make money. And then we've got the bust, the downturn. And that in itself is within the 18 years. So what happens is that 18 years, 4 years of that 18 is what we call a downturn or a slowdown, and then 14 years of that is the upturn or the boom. So where are we in the cycle? If you remember, the last recession that we had which was the financial crash, which was in 2007. Now it lasted till 2009. Now, some people will say, well, hold on a moment, we really didn't come out of the recession until 2010 or 11. Yes, correct. But bottom of the property market was in 2009, and around September, October 2009. And after that, interest rates started coming down, and then we went up. As everyone knows, interest rate comes down, property prices go up, interest rate goes up, property prices come down. So 2009, if you have that figure in your mind right now, 2009, and we are in 2023 at the end of it. So that gives us 14 years of the 18-year cycle. Now, we have had a slowdown, I think it was just before the pandemic or around the pandemic, that we had about a year of lull. And prices didn't go down, but didn't go anywhere either. So here we are. We've had interest rates from 0 to 5.25%. Property prices didn't crash. And I advised all my clients and investors who I know and we deal a lot with that the property market is not going to crash, because there's a lot of elements around it that is not going to crash. And I was right. Now, where are we in the cycle? We are just about, as far as what I see and what I can tell, next year, 2024, we're going to have another leg of upturn because there's a lot of factors involved. Interest rates, well, we've peaked. I can tell you we've peaked on interest rate. The next move is down. When? Sometime middle of next year. And the moment, and the money markets are betting on that as well. And the mortgage, if you read, I think it was yesterday, that the fixed rate has come down a notch under percent now, which is giving all the indications that the interest rate is going to head down. Not a lot. It won't go back down to zero, but it certainly will shave off about 1% next year. That in itself is a fuel for the market. We've got another two years of the upturn before we hit the downturn again. So what is my prediction? My prediction is that I've been banging on that drum for a long time now, that late 2025 or a very early 2026, it will be the height of the market. And after that, then it's another story. So we are around 15, next year, 15, 16 years. And then we've got the next 2 years, the 18-year cycle comes to an end. So 2 more years of upturn, 2024, 2025, and then we have the next 2 years of the downturn. So that's where we are in the cycle.
So yeah, very interesting, Zad. So so then you're saying that after another 2 years, we start another 18-year cycle, but that 18-year cycle will start with a progression of gradually prices increasing, you expect, at the beginning of that 18-year cycle?
Well, yes, I mean, we've got 2 more years of upturn, and then we have 2 years of downturn.
Right.
So we've got we are 14 years in that cycle of 18. So we've got 4 more years to go. 2 more years up, which is the last leg of the up, and then we've got 2 years down, and after that, we'll start the next 18 years. Now, if you go back and study the trend for the past 300 years, because that's all there is, 300 years of the trend, that's all you can find on the books and everything else.
Yeah.
18 years. Now, sometimes 79, half, and sometimes 89, but on average, it's 18 years trend over and over and over again. Yes.
Right. That's very interesting. So next cycle is going to start in 4 years, effectively. Then
next cycle of the 18 will start in 4 years' time, correct? And here's the great thing. Whenever we have the downturn, the 2 years downturn, it doesn't, again, look at the statistics, it doesn't drop any more than around 30%. It's 20 to 30% drop in house prices. Gradually, 1% or 1.25% on a monthly basis, sometimes 0.75%, but on average it's 20 to 25%. But when it does go up, then the 14 years that goes up in the 18-year cycle, it goes up by around 200%, 200 to 300%. So and that's why when you look back over the 300 years, 100 years, 20 years, house prices have always been higher than before. Now, here's the irony. It doesn't matter where you are in the cycle, irrelevant of where you are in the cycle. Whenever you buy a property, 10 years later, only 10 years later, is higher than it was when you bought it. It doesn't matter where you are in the cycle. Now, I've looked at the cycle. That's the beauty of property market. Stock market crashes, companies go bust, and your money is gone. But with property, doesn't matter when you buy, 10 years later, you've made money.
Interesting, yeah. So given where we are in the cycle and your sort of predictions and outlook for the next 4 or more years, as developers, investors, what you're saying, I suppose, then, is it doesn't matter where you buy in that cycle, as long as you buy at the right price, you'll be looking at a 10-year return on an investment in a property in that. And how does that vary between sort of residential and the sort of commercial real estate? How do you see the differences there?
Of course, yes. I mean, yes, you've got commercial, which moves at a very slower pace, especially with the internet that we have at our disposal, especially with people working from home. Pandemic really bolstered people working from home, that offices wasn't needed anymore. Not to a great extent that they did in the past. So offices tend to move a lot slower. It sometimes doesn't move. But the cycle that I'm speaking to you about is a residential cycle, not a commercial cycle. So residential cycle residential properties is doesn't matter when you buy. Even if you buy at doesn't matter, you don't have to buy at the right price. You just buy at the current market price. 10 years later, you would have made money. And what do I think for the next 1 or 2 years, 2024, 25? I think it's a great time, even as you see, we've got two kinds. We've got property traders and we've got property investors. Now, property traders, they've got to buy at the right time in order to sell at the right time, because traders don't hold on to properties. They buy, they do it up, or they flip it, they make money. If they buy at the wrong time in the cycle, they will lose. And unfortunately, if people think that they are property traders, they are property investors. Anyone that can buy and hold on more than 10 years plus is an investor. Anyone that buys now and decides to sell it a few months later is a trader. And people love the idea of being a trader, because traders have a gambling mentality. So, and human nature, as humans as we are, we have this tendency of gambling. We love gambling. So we think, I'm going to be a trader. And then they buy, unfortunately, they spend too much money doing it up and so forth, and then they lose money and think, well, that didn't go according to plan. Property is not the right game. No, only because they didn't do it right. They didn't plan it properly. They didn't buy at the right time in the cycle. But then others will buy accidentally in the right time of the cycle, and then they go on making money year after year for a few years and think this is the best thing since last bread. And then all of a sudden they lose everything that they have because they hit the cycle. They don't understand how it works. But as an investor, you can buy and sit back 10 years later, 20 years later, you've made money. And that's the difference.
Yeah. That's it. And obviously the all of this is reflected in that cycle, and everything you've described there, Zad, is reflected in land opportunities, land prices, and in development sites such as we have on the Landsite. They're going to be reflected in that cycle that you've described, aren't they, as well?
Absolutely, yes. The cycle that I'm speaking about is to do with land. Now, obviously, what's built on it, bricks and mortar, the bricks and mortar, that adds value to their land. So when I say residential properties, it's residential land. It's the land itself that adds value, not the property. As a matter of fact, as the time goes, the property deteriorates. It gets older, but the land does not. The land adds value to it. So it's the land, and the lands that you've got on your site. Do I think it's the right time to purchase? We are right at the right time to purchase any plot of land or any residential land, for development or property. Absolutely, yes. It's the right time to buy, to develop. Yes.
Good. And obviously, as you described yourself, now you're an auctioneer now, and can you tell us a little bit about what the benefits are for developers and investors buying at auction in particular, and why you would encourage them to use the auction process as opposed to private treaty sale or whatever?
Sure, of course. I mean, as everyone probably know, when you buy something at the auction, it's completed within 30 days. So there is no chance of people pulling out. Now, being an estate agent in the past and having sold land through the estate agency, about 40% of the time, the sellers or the buyers made no difference. Majority of sellers would pull out because somebody else had come along and says, I'll give you more money. Or they thought, as it takes such a long time for the process to go through, the owner will go, hold on, my land is now worth more money than when we started. So the buyer would spend a lot of money but it doesn't go anywhere. So buying through auction has a few benefits. One of them obviously is speed. What you see and agree on when the gavel goes down is the price you get it, and there is no way out. The seller has to sell it to the buyer, and the buyer will have to buy it at that price, which is great. Secondly, people that sell the property in the people that sell the land in the auction, development land or land for sale, they are at a slightly discounted, because for whatever reason, the seller does need the money and they need it pretty sharp. For whatever reason, I'm not going to say that they are in financial trouble. Absolutely not. Sometimes they sell plot land because to release equity in order to build, the other development.
Look at another project, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. So for various, they tend to sell at slightly discounted when it comes to the auction. So they a buyer can pick up development lands and land, as a whole, at slightly discounted than they would find if it was with a estate agent or with a land agent as we know it. Yes.
Right. Okay. Very interesting, Zad. Thank you very much. I think that's been very useful and particularly interesting. The 18-year cycle is not something that we hear about very much, but I think it's absolutely critical. And I thank you for highlighting that. It's certainly something that's been of great interest, and for me to do a little bit more research on myself as well, because
yes, I didn't invent it. It's something that I actually learned many years ago, and I was a little bit skeptical to start with, but the more I looked at it, the more I'm in the game, the more I see the trend. I mean, here is the irony, right? Obviously, the people who've been around me will vouch for this. I called the last boom and the last bust for the month on the cycle, on the 18-year cycle. I called it. 2007. I said the recession will come. We were 2004, and I said 2007 we're going to have a recession through the 18-year cycle, and it will be around August. Well, it happened in July. July was the height of the market in 2007. I missed it by 1 month. And 2009, October, I said that we're going to have the next upturn. I said it's going to happen in 2010, around February. It happened in, I believe, around October, November 2009, which was the bottom of the market. Not the upturn, but the bottom of the market. So on them two, I've called it only because of the 18-year cycle. So I live and breathe the cycle. And I so much believe it. Maybe because I believe so much, it happens to me. I don't know, but there you go. Yes.
Well, yeah, but there's a lot there, because you've predicted it really well, and that's difficult. And all credit to you. That's 1 month out is nothing on an 18-year cycle, or even 6 months out is nothing on an 18-year cycle as a proportion. It's nothing. And well done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
And it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to talking to you again sometime.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.